Hello, Manic Mercurian here with another birth chart reading. This one is for Wednesday, July 5th, 1995 at 8:45 a.m. in Chicago, Illinois. And you have Sun in Cancer, Moon in Libra with Leo rising. And the first thing I noticed, just this is looking at a lot of your placements here really, but I would think that you'd be very good with people. People feel comfortable around you. You make connections with people very easily. And the reason why I say this is because you have Sun in Cancer, which is very emotional and it likes to make connections with people. It's very excited. I think sometimes that the dog would actually be a better animal for Cancer than the crab, just because Cancers have that excitement that dogs have, and they want to play and they want to make friends with everyone. And then this is combining with your Libra Moon, which is very diplomatic and easygoing and is also very attentive to other people's needs, thoughts, feelings, etc. So combining these two together means that you are very attuned toward other people. You're very attuned to other people's needs, thoughts, feelings. You almost think of other people, before yourself. And you'd definitely be a leader, especially, combining these two cardinal signs with your Leo rising. I think you would initiate oftentimes with other people, but sometimes it's not always direct. So sometimes you would initiate in a very direct way with your Leo rising. However, Cancer and Libra, they lead in sort of an indirect way. They lead by sort of swaying other people to act. So they lead almost vicariously, like through other people in a way, or indirectly. So you'd be very good at understanding people. You'd be very good at understanding like psychology of other people, and so this would make you a master manipulator if you so chose. Especially with your Mercury in Gemini as well. You are very very clever, very good at understanding people. You'd also be good at with other people though, because you have your inner planets, Sun, Mercury, and Venus are all in the 10th and 11th houses. So this is a more public part of your chart. You have these planets rising up in the eastern part of the sky, but they're pretty elevated in the sky when you were born. So this would indicate people understand you pretty easily. You are easily understood. Um, let's see. You also have your midheaven in Taurus, which is really nice. This would mean that the way you come off in public and at work and online is very consistent and easygoing. People sense that you're pleasant to be around. Taurus is a really great midheaven because you have a reputation that is, pleasant and fun and easygoing, but it's also very structured and, respectable, I guess you could say. And then you have your south node in the ninth house, pretty close to your midheaven. So this indicates that you're very comfortable being in sort of the limelight, or and this just combines with your Leo rising as well, and then your other placements that um I don't know, I just really see that potential that you'd be very good with other people, good with being in the limelight, especially good at understanding kind of complex ideas, or maybe philosophical ideas, or ninth house is the house of the church or the university. So wherever you go to learn these sort of like higher or more abstract philosophical notions, you would be naturally good at that type of thing and naturally good at being known for that, being in sort of the public sphere, in a way that's related to those kind of philosophical abstract concepts. Okay, and then also having South Node in Taurus means that you're very self-sufficient, you're independent, and I think with your Cancer Sun and your Libra Moon, you can get kind of tied into other people's emotions, and you might be very sensitive toward other people. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you have your South Node in Taurus, so at the end of the day, you do take care of yourself. You know how to do that, and you've kind of always done that. You're very autonomous, and Leo Rising kind of supports this as well. I think Leo Rising is almost a perfect it's like it sums up the rest of your chart, even though the rest of your chart isn't very fiery, so the Leo rising adds a little bit of fire, but it sums it up pretty well. I'm not sure how to explain that, but I don't know. Let's talk about your rising more. So, the rising would be your first impression, your appearance, a lot of your mannerisms. It's also how you approach things. It's also a lot to do with your mission in life. It really pertains to a lot of things in the chart. And because you're Leo rising, you were taught or expected from your parents to be outgoing, to be like the center of attention. Your parents wanted you to be confident and to be, very active and interactive with others. And so you naturally kind of have this side to you that um, you can be charismatic, you can be, funny or relatable, you can be outgoing, you can initiate. I don't think you always feel like that because Cancer Sun with Libra Moon is more, I think, of an introverted combination. So I think sometimes you can be a little bit more introverted or private, maybe even a little bit shy. But at the same time, you have this Leo rising where you can have that outgoing side to your nature as well. You know how to initiate with other people. Let's talk about your relationships here. So, especially in like romantic partnerships, you would actually be the leader, you would be the initiator, you would, the more romantic or, when you feel excited and in a romantic way with someone, it would make you much more outgoing, more confident. And that would result in you, being very expressive and you being very much the leader. And so your partner would kind of follow you in a way. Now, you definitely want a strong-willed partner, but at the same time, you would still be the leader, I guess you could say. And your partner or the person that you'd be attracted to would be very unique and individualistic. You have your DC descendant in Aquarius, so you want someone who's not like anyone else. You want someone who has like some interesting opinions or ideas. Someone whose appearance might be kind of different. You would really be attracted to people that might be a little bit modest or subdued, a little bit understated, but they have this kind of quirky rebelliousness to them. That would be super hot for you. um, and yeah, and ultimately it's just because you want someone who is definitely unique, someone who has this almost weird mixture of being, um, almost like I said, kind of conservative or like modest in their mannerisms and appearance and their ideas and the way they speak and everything. But at the same time, there's something, magical there. There's something special and really rebellious and provocative there. Aquarius is this weird mixture between that conservatism and the rebelliousness or the radicalism. There, you have both in Aquarius, so that's you want someone who has this kind of interesting blend of both of those. Someone who has their own opinions and who thinks for themselves. Someone who's not like anyone else. So you'd almost be attracted to someone who's a little bit of a weirdo, I guess I could say. And let's talk about your Venus and your Mars. So you have Mars in Virgo, Venus at 0 degrees Cancer. So these would indicate that you would be. Well, let me back up. So descendant, what I just talked about, that is what you need for a more long-term situation. This is really key for your long-term compatibility. So you want that unique rebel, I guess, that understated rebel. That's really, really important for the long-term compatibility. That's probably the most important thing. However, Venus and Mars represent more of what you desire, what you're attracted to. So, that's important as well, but it's not always indicative of a long-term commitment or compatibility. And your Venus and your Mars in Cancer and Virgo indicate that you'd want someone a little bit more shy or sensitive, someone a little bit more introverted, someone who thinks before they act, and someone with a lot of thoughts and feelings. So this is a very thoughtful person. I think that would attract you. Almost like shyness might attract you, I think, or it would really attract you when you can tell someone is maybe a little bit soft spoken, or but they have a lot going inside. They have a lot of thoughts and feelings, and this kind of blends with the Aquarius ascendant to say that I think ultimately you'd be attracted to someone who's a little bit aloof or who's a little bit of a puzzle, who's definitely very sensitive and thinks for themselves. Um, but you would be, the more outgoing person, I think, and especially thinking, especially bringing your Venus and your Mars into the mix, this really indicates to me you'd be attracted to someone who is not as outgoing as yourself. So I think someone who's a little bit more subdued or introverted would actually make you feel much more confident and allow you to lead with them, and then they would be more than happy to let you kind of take the reins and follow along with your self-expression. And I don't know, they would enjoy you kind of initiating things. Okay, let's talk about um guess we could talk about your upbringing a little bit. So, hmm, it looks pretty scattered because okay, so you have your for upbringing, I would look to South Node, IC, Sun, and Moon. Um, the South Node is up here in the ninth house Taurus, but then your IC is down here in Scorpio. So, IC in Scorpio would indicate that felt you felt like you were raised in an environment where things were kind of out of control. Things were um, not organized at all. They're very chaotic. So you grew up in a chaotic environment, and this made you very precocious. It made you want to grow up very quickly, and it made you in this. You were kind of in this survival mode where you wanted to organize things. So you'd almost be very mature as a child, especially incorporating your South Node in Taurus as well. I think you'd be a very independent child where you're kind of taking care of yourself at a young age and, figuring things out and wanting to organize and plan. So you'd almost be, like a very adult-like child because you're not necessarily wanting to have fun and make a mess and just play around. You're wanting to, you were really craving structure as a child, and so I think you attempted to create that structure. You wanted to plan and to organize things because of that chaotic environment. And organizing and planning, it's actually coming from an emotional place because you felt emotionally out of control, and so you know. Desiring that structure and attempting to create that structure was really just your way of, protecting yourself emotionally because you're a very sensitive, very emotional child. Um, yeah, and I guess I'll just finish that off by saying you might not have appeared super emotional all the time because you were constantly sort of trying to be in control of everything, control of yourself and your circumstances and your surroundings. But yeah, again, really, this is all just stemming from a place of emotional sensitivity that you felt emotionally out of control. So that's where you wanted that structure. And your sun and your moon kind of contribute to this as well. So your sun and your moon are squaring one another. In other words, you were born during a first quarter moon. So this would also indicate a sort of chaotic upbringing, and it would indicate that your parents may have been very different from one another. They may have not always gotten along. They may have expected different things from you, which may have been confusing. And so it results in you being very multifaceted. So you're good at understanding many different sides of things, different points of view. You have a lot of contrast within you. Um, and that can be difficult, it can be challenging at times. But it also makes you restless. It makes you, it can make you a little bit neurotic, and the positive side to this is that you having your first quarter being born under your first quarter moon, it would make you more restless, but that also makes you more productive because it's just harder for you to relax. It's like you always have to be doing something basically. And this is strengthened by your Mars in Virgo as well. This is a very productive placement and indicates you have this way of going about things where probably without even thinking about it, you naturally break down large projects into much smaller tasks, and so you constantly work away at these little tasks, which pretty quickly add up to very large accomplishments. So this is an excellent Mars to have. It's very productive. Um, Makes you a good worker. You have a strong work ethic. Between your Mars and Virgo and your Midheaven and Taurus, um, which is nice because a lot of your personality, heck, um, your Sun in Cancer with Moon in Libra, that would indicate maybe a little bit of laziness or complacency. But bringing in this Mars and Virgo with Midheaven and Taurus, it means that at work you're definitely very hardworking, actually. Um, and then there's also that first quarter moon aspect, which would make you restless. So yeah, I do think you'd be an excellent worker, very productive. Also, with Mars and Virgo, this would indicate that you're very sensitive to your surroundings, and this is strengthened by Moon and Libra with Cancer Sun. Um, you do have a little bit of those empath qualities where you are like a sponge and you take in your surroundings. And so it's very important to you to have your situation, to have your surroundings like organized. You want to be in an organized place, and it would irritate you to be around like clutter or dirtiness. And I think that's true for everyone, but it would be especially true for you that, Mars and Virgo is definitely known to be um, very clean and organized and hygienic. And, again, if your situation becomes uncluttered or becomes cluttered or unorganized, then you would be very upset. You might become like very irritated or aggressive until that situation improves. Okay, and with your North Node in Scorpio, this indicates that you have a hard time trusting others. You might have a hard time with intimacy because South Node in Taurus means that you are so comfortable on your own. You can support yourself, and that's a great thing to have. That autonomy, that self sufficiency is really great. Not a lot of people have that, but but for you, the challenge is working with other people, relying on other people. And I think this kind of comes up from your upbringing too, that you may have not really always been supported by other people. But that's part of something that you'll learn to work through, especially once you get into your late 20s. Um, I guess you're almost there now. So this may be something that you're working on is learning to open up to other people and be intimate with other people, or rely on other people, or open up with like secretive, like emotional types of things. All that would be kind of difficult for you, and this would go into like sexual areas as well. It's hard to be, intimate emotionally, physically. Um, this just wouldn't be natural to you, but it's an area that you will grow in a lot, and especially once you get to age 28, 29, 30, I think you'll make a lot more progress in this area, and it's something that you'll learn to be comfortable with as you get older. It just takes time for you. Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, you have Jupiter retrograde in fourth house Sagittarius. This indicates a potential for having a really beautiful big home. Jupiter's in domicile and it's in your fourth house, so this indicates good luck or fortune with traveling or trying new things, but also good luck and fortune in your home. So maybe this would, I don't know, it would show to me that you'd be in a big or beautiful home maybe multiple times in your life. You have Saturn in 8th house Pisces, so this would indicate to me that, well, first of all, so anyone born, around 1 to 2 years from when you were born would have Saturn in Pisces. And so this is a little bit general, not everyone in your age group would have all of these traits, but Saturn in Pisces does indicate a potential for having sleep issues with sleeping. So I don't know, maybe bad dreams, or it's hard for you to get to sleep. So you have like insomnia type things, or it's just hard for you to relax too. And that would especially be supported by your first quarter moon aspect and your Mars in Virgo. I think it might be hard for you to wind down. Like you always have to be doing something, like I said earlier. Um, yeah, it's just hard for you to relax and get into those slower states of mind. So that's something again that will just take time, and you'll also make a lot of progress on that in your late 20s, going into early 30s. And it's something that you'll become a pro at later in life. It's just initially challenging for you to relax and experience those states of sleep and relaxation. Also, Saturn's in the eighth house of money, debts, inheritance. So this indicates a potential to rack up a little bit of debt at a young age, but it's something that you'll become, again, much better at, almost a master at later in life, especially once you get into your 30s and beyond. You'll definitely get a handle on that. Okay. And I covered most of what I wanted to say, but there are a few little tidbits I missed here. So, you do have Venus in Cancer, so I my heart goes out to people who have Venus in Cancer because, okay, and this is interesting. I'm combining it with your other placements here. Venus in Cancer indicates someone who is almost like a mother in a relationship, or a child, but oftentimes it makes you very nurturing in a relationship, and it makes you very nurturing, and it makes you really like cling on to a person, and so it's hard to let go. You have such a deep emotional connection with someone once you really do, click with someone, and you want to be their everything. You want to be, nurturing like a mother. Cancer is the mother sign. So this can be very difficult. This, of course, can be beautiful. You can be so supportive and nurturing in a relationship, and that's really awesome when it's with the right person. It's just that people can unfortunately take advantage of that, and so this people with Venus and Cancer are sort of prone to attracting, manipulators or users who unfortunately take advantage of that nurturing side. So that's just something to be aware of, especially because you do have that reluctance to be, intimate anyway, or to have those deep connections. Um, so I do see some challenges there for sure. Um, and I think this would just be tempered by having strong boundaries. I think it might be hard for you to have boundaries or structure because you are so much of a sponge and you just soak up your surroundings and you are so aware of other people's thoughts and feelings that it might be harder for you to be aware of your own thoughts, feelings, needs, boundaries, etc. Um, but so yeah, I think the main, I don't know, tip I would give for you is just to be um, grounded and centered in yourself and to focus on yourself more. Not in a selfish way, but just it's important. It's important, ultimately to help other people. We can only do that if we help ourselves first. Um, we have to keep ourselves as as strong and as good as we can be, and that way we're able to help others the best we can. So I think it's just important to focus on yourself. What do you want? What are your intentions? What are your thoughts or feelings on things? Keep those in mind and stay centered and grounded there. And then you can incorporate other people as well. And I think that might actually be crucial to opening up to these more challenging aspects of, what's blocking you from being intimate with others. Because it's funny that you're so connected with other people, but at the same time, I don't think you really want to let them in on a private level. Um, I think you are very self-aware, so you've probably picked up on a lot of these things with your moon in Libra is a very self-aware placement. So, you can observe yourself. You probably already know a lot of this, but what I would say is that it almost seems kind of contradictory, but I think learning your own boundaries with yourself and, keeping that structure and being a little bit more self-focused, I think that would actually be key for opening up intimately because you have to, assert your own self will. You have to know where you're at before you can really open up and connect with someone else and really sense where they're at on a deeper level. Hopefully that makes sense. One little last thing I wanted to mention. So you have Lilith conjunct the Sun, which is very interesting. Lilith is a little bit of a mystery to me, I will admit. But Lilith is this sort of darker side to things. Kind of, it's like a feminine, rebellious side to all of us, and a lot of it is sexual, but it's more than that, though. But this point is conjunct your sun, so it would infuse this energy with your ego and your appearance. So you might have a sort of mysterious or like sexual appearance about you. People are just kind of attracted to you, and hmm, I think you might be very aware of this part of yourself that's more rebellious and more sexual. I think this is something that's kind of naturally tucked away usually, but it's something that's always there with you, always present. So hopefully you understand that more than I do, because I'm not really sure. Oh, and then lastly, there's so many things here. Mercury and Gemini is in domicile, so this would indicate that you're very quick thinking, you're good at figuring things out. And between your moon in Libra and Mercury in Gemini, you can be very detached, and this is interesting since you're a Cancer sun. You are very emotional, very sensitive, but at the same time, you can detach from yourself and observe your own emotions. So that's what makes you such a good psychologist and a psychoanalyst, because you can experience those really deep, rich emotions, but also detach from them and study them in a way. So so anyway, that's pretty much the gist of what I see. Let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like me to expand on anything further. But this was a great chart to read, very interesting, and I appreciate the request. And for anyone else who would like a reading, just email me at manic.mercurian@gmail.com. But thanks for this request and thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.